and welcome to Mr Daz P1's Airgun Corner, and today I'm going to be reviewing a classic British air rifle, and it's here behind me. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, this air rifle has been lurking in a corner of someone's house for many years. In fact, I think somebody found it whilst they were up in the loft doing a bit of a clear out. So thank you, Harry. And the rifle I want to review today is the Webley Mark III. This is an iconic British air rifle. So let's have a look at her because she's a beauty. So first of all, I got the gun case from a well-known sports outlet for basically £9, and it's perfect for keeping all these restored rifles in. So I thought I'd share that one with you. So here it is. Now, what can I tell you about these rifles? I have done some research, and today there's a channel on YouTube who's actually helped me out to find out when this was made. So thank you, and I'll leave a link below to that channel. First of all, this video is all about the restoration, and I will do some target shooting just downrange here today, but it's mainly going to be about what I did, how I found it, the state it was in, because I'm really impressed with the way this has turned out. They were in production from 1946 to 1975. What I do know, that they were all made by proper engineers, and when they made parts for them, they were made solely for this rifle. In particular, this tap mechanism, the way that's been lapped and honed and fitted is unique to that rifle. Everything about them, in my opinion, is solid. It's well engineered, everything's been machined, it's quite robust. This rifle has stood the test of time. So a key feature we have to look out for is the tap. If you see a tap like this, it indicates it's a younger model. Now, there were other variations where this was a much more profile design, nice and rounded and shaped. So these rifles, they came in 177 and 22 variations, and they also have a serial number which you can find just down there underneath the cocking lever. And in this case, this is a B5773. That gives you a unique number to when this was made. So we're looking here at a rifle that was made on the 16th of March 1974. So this rifle's 46 years old this year. I'm also led to believe that the last rifle ever made was made on the 6th of December 1975, and that had a unique number. Again, I've got it here on a piece of paper, and from my research, 6547 could have been the last rifle. Maybe that 6467 was the last rifle produced. It will have had an F as a prefix, which also indicates it was made in 1975. Other than that, I think there was around 80,000 of these made, and they are quite heavy. They weigh around 7 pounds, and they're not going to be the most powerful rifle on the market, but in the day people thought that they were the bee's knees. I would still say they are the bee's knees. However, you're going to be looking at around 9, maybe 10 foot-pound. However, it will do what you want it to do. But before we do any shooting, let's have a look what happened earlier in the shack.
So the challenge here was how to make a new piece of key steel to go inside the tap loader, and I used an old tap loader that wouldn't fit in this rifle to give me some ideas. So first of all, I had to drill out the sheared piece inside the tapered body, where it was drilled and tapped to a metric M6 thread. And then to make the keyed section for the tap lever to go onto, I used a square nut with an Allen cap head screw and started to file both of the pieces together. And eventually we came down to this nice profile square edge, which was then tailor-made to fit inside the tap lever. And the final stage here was to mark the centre of the screw and then drill that out to an M4 thread, which would then become the final locking mechanism for the tap lever assembly. So here we are now, back to dismantling and servicing the air rifle. And it's always handy to have a nice toolbox to put all your spare parts in for safekeeping. And I noticed that the trigger was sticking, so that would need some attention.
This one with the point goes to that one. This one with the rounded end goes to that one.
So having removed the pin, I was able to have a look at all the individual components there. And under closer inspection, one of the profiles looked worn, so I cleaned it back with a file. And the next stage was to remove the stock locating plug, but take note this is a left-handed thread. And to unscrew it, you have to rotate it clockwise. So let's go back to the workshop where we can look at how we remove this end piece or the back block body.
What we do next is start to undo this end cap. If I turn that slightly, there's the thread. That is a normal thread, so you undo it anti-clockwise. And I'm keeping hold of it pretty tightly. And then there'll be a bit of tension when the spring gets near the end. There you go. That's the spring. So there's one piece. There's the spring guide. One spring. And then inside the cylinder we have this assembly. Looks like the piston seal has failed.
And here's a quick look at the replacement kit that you can buy online. Now them two pieces there, I didn't use them because the countersunk screw was metric and the threads on this rifle will be imperial. So I had a look at the parts that we had left and salvaged some of the original ones, and first of all did a loose assembly just to see how it would all look. And we'll come back to this shortly because it's important that the replacement leather seal is well and truly oiled before the final installation. And having decided that I was happy with that assembly, I soaked the leather piston in oil overnight, came back to the workshop the following day and carried on with the rebuild. And so before I started the assembly, I gave the piston one more final soaking in oil and gave the piston head body a nice bit of greasing and lubricating all over, wiped off any of the excess, and if you look here, when we're refitting it, it's a nice, good seal all the way inside the cylinder there. And here with the main spring, having cleaned it up, I gave it a nice lubrication again with some grease, and I kept the original one because it's not about power, and it looked pretty straight, and most of all, it wouldn't put any more undue strain or stresses on the internals.
Here we are now, back at my shooting corner, so let's see what it can do. First of all, let's see how we cock it. It's got a nice mechanism here where if you look carefully, a nice positive spring action to release that latch there, and then it's a nice simple effort. It's now cocked. And the pellets I'll be using today are RWS Super H points. So here they are, they're a nice looking pellet, they weigh 14.2 grains, and to me they look like a good quality pellet. It's now loaded and good to shoot, but safety first. Let's have a quick look at what's happening because I'm struggling to hit the target. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 there. So looking at that, we're basically bottom left. Need to be aiming a bit higher up. Okay, looking at these sights, it was set quite low down on the mark, so if I screw it clockwise it raises up the sight. So let's go the other end, the opposite end of that range of adjustment. Okay, there you have it, 10 shots, open sights. It's not bad, that. I think that's pretty good. I mean, I am not a marksman at all. I couldn't even hit the target to begin with. But true to form, I fired 10 shots trying to look straight down the sights, looking at that target over that distance. So if I start to aim a bit higher, hopefully we can get in the zone there. Better groupings around that centre. Okay, 10 more shots, open sighted. Looking at that, I'm chuffed. Proper chuffed with them results. I'm going off that open sighted. I actually can't see half the target when I'm looking down the barrel. Anyway, let's give it a go with a scope and see if we can get the groupings a bit tighter around that centre. Well, considering I'm just crouching down there beside the wall, I'm very impressed. To get groupings like that, again, I'm not a regular shooter and I've just restored this rifle. I'm actually lost for words as to how good it is for such an old spring rifle. You have to remember, it's got a leather piston, it's been well oiled, everything's working. I never thought I'd get them kind of results. It'd be interesting to see if we got a proper pad, rested the rifle and try to go for precise groupings, weigh the pellets and see what it really could do. But just to come out here onto my little range and have a few shots, this is fantastic. So let's have a recap. If you do see one of these, if I was you and you're into your air guns, go and buy one. You can pick them up at a reasonable price if they're actually damaged. There's a lot of battered ones out there. They're probably going to be in the shed or, like in this case, someone's loft. They will be going rusty. You'll be lucky to get a perfect one unless it has been restored. But I think in good tip-top order, you could be looking at £400. But for me, it's not about the money. It's about having a classic British air rifle, and it might be about something that sends you back to being a child, when you was out with your dad, learning to shoot, and this would have been your first proper step up to a man's gun. And yes, I'll actually have to make a comment. When I refitted this, I've had to use the original insert to this modified tap. That really should be a machine screw like these here. If I can find one I will, but that's now a metric thread rather than a BSW thread. But for the time being, that is a good fix. I've made something work that was not working at all. But yet, to make this a more complete rifle, I need to get that sent back 40 years to look like it marries up with the rest of the rifle. What do I like about this rifle? It's got to be, it's a Springer. It's a lovely piece of walnut, and because it's not been lacquered, if I bring it out here and I dink it or scratch it, I can wire wool it, I can restain it quickly, put some teak oil on it and get it back to where it should be. Secondly, when you've done that and you smell it, this smells beautiful right now. I love the smell, and I can smell all the oil that I've worked into all these points here. The whole thing, it just smells proper oily. It smells like industry to me. Another thing I like this tapered barrel. Everything about it, it's functional, it's classic, and it should hopefully last another 46 years. My advice as well would be, I try and avoid using a scope on these things, because the only cheap side about it is this scope rail. It's been spot welded on in 3 points and it has lifted, so I've had to glue that back down. I wouldn't want to knock or damage that scope rail with a scope on it, so I think really just for demonstration purposes today we have put a scope on it, but I'll be taking this off and it'll be as it is if you was to buy it off the shelf. So that's my renovation and demonstration of the Webley Mark III from 1974. And if you like these videos, let me know and I'll try and make some more for you. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hello and welcome to Mr. Dat. Take two. Hello and welcome to Mr. I can't even say my name right. Other than that, I think there was around 80,000 of these made, and I'm going to be shooting around 25 metres today, and if you just look downstream, no, not downstream, we're not going downstream, are we? And the pellets I'll be using today are RWS whoops. And if you check out this link here, I've got other air rifles that I've reviewed or I've renovated.